I feel like the difference mentally has been seeing myself as his friend and seeing myself as his aspiring disciple. You almost resent the disciplehood because it's the less pleasurable of the two. Like the relationship version I have with him is a much sweeter, nicer version.
Once you're clear that you are loved and guided, then life is in essence only about service. And to spread, to give what he has given us is, well, the greatest gift.
One of the main reasons why at the beginning I was so excited about the whole Guruji thing is because he's so difficult to understand, and he's always made me so happy, and I don't understand why.
He loves us too much to leave us as we are. That's the fundamental definition I have of him when I look at him sometimes in his behaviors. You just love me too much to leave me in this version of myself. I think it's a question of where we're saying, look, but we have questioned that, and we have doubted that, and we have resisted that, and we have had other opinions on that, and we've only changed it, not because someone told us, no, I assure you it's because of that, believe in it. No, because we have seen it, we have experienced it, lived it, gone through it, come out the other side, done it again and again and again.
I wouldn't want to change 1 second. Like, nobody has said that it's going to be easy. It's just said that it's worthwhile and it's possible.
Jai Gurudev Swami Niruddha, Jai Gurudev Swami Akash.
Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.
Welcome back to the Thinking Bhakti podcast, both of you. Second appearance on the channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Today, I think what I'd really like to do is have a conversation between the three of us just openly about how the mission of Bhakti Marga has grown and how our roles have changed, and maybe map out a little bit of the process that we all go through in that. And what I mean by change is just with times, our attention sometimes changes, the focus changes, what Guruji asks of us changes, what the community needs changes. And so therefore our seva changes and our life circumstances may change. And I think a lot of that has happened organically over the last 5 to 10 years even. And it's speeding up, I think, more in the last few years with the creations of ashrams and temples and growing communities. And it's just therefore created a need for a new type of seva, I would say, a new kind of intensity. And I think that, well, I haven't had that kind of discussion with anybody so far. I think it's something that people observe, and I think it would be nice for the three of us who have all gone through that and are going through that in different ways to discuss a little bit about that. So, Swami Akash, you're responsible at the moment for which countries? Just so everybody knows.
Czech Republic, Slovakia, Albania, North Macedonia, Sicily, and Spain.
In Bhakti Marga, Sicily is a country, by the way. Just
Yeah. As you should. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Swami Niruddha, you're in charge of Italy,
Yes.
which is not the same as Sicily, huh?
No.
Doesn't include.
No, he's allowed to come if we invite him.
And vice versa?
Vice versa also, yes.
Yeah.
They take all our resources in Sicily.
Very good. Swami Niruddha, what are your countries?
Italy, Switzerland, Mexico, Croatia, Montenegro. I think that's it.
And I've got Portugal and Brazil, too, easy. And in light of that, so that's been our sort of previous years now. And I think going forward, I know Guruji has asked all three of us to start to support more and more these communities and spend less and less time here.
Mm-hmm.
We've been living here in SPN. Aniruddha, how long have you been here now? 17 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 17 years. I've been here 16 years, Akash.
9.
9 years. And after this time that we've spent here, I think more and more he's sort of saying, go.
Thank you.
Fly out
Thank
of the
you,
nest.
Bye.
Thank you. with varying language and yeah. But I think the spirit has definitely been to fly out of the nest and go do things, go support things, and go help the people that need that help and the people that are in need of this kind of support, because we have obviously been here for many years learning from him, growing as people. So I would like to ask, if any of you can start, but what has been, I think, the biggest challenge, let's start with that, as you begin to be more and more out of the ashram and more looking after and being involved in these communities out there and spending maybe less time here, less time around him?
Well, I think the greatest challenge, at least for me, was just a personal one in the relationship with Guruji, where there's like being vised, how you say, like when you have got so much from him from the very beginning, like being so close to him, being taking care, traveling with him all the time, being with him all the time.
Under the wing, like a little bit.
Under the wing and
Spoiled?
being like spoiled, exactly. Spoiled, yeah. That's
Yeah, I thought that.
viziato in Italian, like.
Yeah.
And step by step being pushed away because you don't do it by your own accord. You're not like you're not distancing yourself by yourself. You want to stay close, obviously, and therefore he has to create like this separation or this distance of like, no, go. And it's like every step of taking something away what he has given apparently is kind of it's an inner process of like the belonging to the Guru, the trust that he is with you, that he loves you, that nothing has changed, that this is part of the growing up process, and to find him more and more within, and just being aware that his love is always there and is not limited to his physical presence or anything. Once that is established, once that trust is clear, then the rest is then everything else becomes simple. Because once you're clear that you are loved and guided, then life is in essence only about service. And to be able to go and serve him in the different countries, to spread, to give what he has given us, is the greatest gift. Like now when I see it. So that is not anymore a challenge. The challenge there is then obviously the human part always, where there is people coming together to solve those things, because one thing, if Guruji says something to people, he's just the highest authority. We are his extension, and we at the same time similar or the same as those people. Like we are imperfect as they are, and therefore it is sometimes a challenge to find the good balance of being a leader, being authoritative, and at the same time being understanding and humble and whatever.
Having empathy and these sort
all
of
those things, yes.
You mentioned something, I think, Akash, I wanted to hear what you think about it, because you said the greatest gift, in a way, it's to be able to share that, and that, what we have received. Some people would argue that they understand that in theory, but a greater gift seems to be around him. Like, and so there's a conflict sometimes in people's minds where we know what the right answer is in the textbook. It's to share and to do seva. That's the greatest gift. But some people are like, yeah, but if you can be with him, that's really the greatest gift, right? And that's somehow the tension sometimes, I feel.
Yeah, I think it also depends on the realm of possibilities. Like, if you can be close to him, stay close to him. But if you cannot be close to him, it's just, you're talking about too many hypothetical things. So I think the gift is that we can bring all these experiences. Like, I learned so much from your experiences, Swami Ashua's experiences, all these experiences when I came to Bhakti Marga. And there was a long time, I would say for 1 year, I wasn't close to Guruji. So I didn't receive so much being close to him. But what I gained from the experiences of all the people close to him was so much. Because I think the main problem is that you think that being close to him, he will just spend his day teaching you things. Like, he just sits like in the movies, he sits there and he tells you, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, and you think, because you go through what you would like to have with him and the relationship you want to have. But the truth is that when you're there, he's deciding the way the relationship goes, and he's doing what he wants to do. And in between that, if you manage and you are strong enough to find all the teachings here and there when he puts them, you can learn a lot. But I think people make a romance out of what they think being close to the Guru means. And so they think, oh yeah, but and they make up their own ideas based on their desire of how they would like that relationship to be. So I think that something very nice is we bring all this condensed time in the teaching, because sometimes he's been teaching us something for years consistently. It's always the same point, and it takes you so much to get it. And then when you get it, you bring it in a satsang for 10 minutes. But it's been years of being there trying to understand what is the actual point. And then you can connect it to the scripture, and then you can deliver it to the people. So, yeah, for me, it's also a beautiful, beautiful gift. And as we're talking about challenges, I think is always trying to, somehow the mind of man tries always to put you on a pedestal. They try either to put you below, as low as they can, or they put you up on the pedestal. And to try to find the middle ground with people, telling them, yeah, I mean, yes, but at the same time, look at him. He's the one who's giving me all these teachings. No, but I met some people who say, oh, what you're saying, it's so good, but I listen to your guru and I don't like it. And I'm like, it's a copy-paste. Literally what I say is a copy-paste in Italian maybe, but it's the same as what he says. And so I think the challenge is always to just be able to then transition them towards the attention to Guruji, like to bring them to the actual main point. Because, yeah, that's what I've seen as a challenge. But otherwise, yeah, it's amazing. For me, it's awesome to travel and to tell people what we go through, what he's teaching us, because every time I remind myself, so it's a great training. But also when you say it out loud, you realize, wow, he's a genius. He's really a genius, and what he's giving us is so beautiful. And then you train yourself also in gratitude.
One of the things, how do you stop yourself from feeling like it's a downgrade though? Because I mean, we've all kind of acknowledged here that if you can, then be around him. Like if that possibility is there, then be around him. You could easily say it's just one angle, of course, not the only angle, but one angle is we could, all three of us, and now we're going to be less and less around him. Historically, we already have started to be because of these, opportunities of service, which I'm with you on the same page that it's an amazing gift and it is incredible. But surely the thought at some point crosses the mind, or it is a temptation to go down that road to think it is somewhat of a downgrade because we're no longer around him in the same way.
Well, I think it's just the nature of things. If we are here to serve, and it's not about what I want. Like, I and want are the two dangers. That's the whole point. It's not what I want. It's your will be done.
I mean, you're right. I think...
Yeah, let me maybe say the other side of it. That is true. Is a part of my self thinks this and is 100% going towards that, because we're also trained for this. Like he trained us all these years to go towards the direction of service and doing what he says. But to go on the other side, yeah, for sure, there's a part of your brain that thinks it's the greatest downgrade possible. The greatest thing you can have if you have the possibilities to be close to him. And when you are that close to him, then he says, oh yeah, just be far away.
That's why I ask, right? Because I think especially the three of us, I invited you both on here today because whether it's true or not, a lot of external perception is that we are incredibly close to him. And people sometimes want to understand what that means psychologically, even for us, like to go through things like this. What you're saying, I agree 100%. It's not about the I and the one, and those are problematic things. I think the issue that I have faced, though, is it's in this moment that the security you have in the relationship with him is incredibly tested, right? Because these are not assurances that you're given. The question arises, is he doing this to me, or am I now being empowered to do this because he truly trusts me and wants me to do this as a service to him? Or is it almost like there's the little devil on the shoulder that says, he's a little frustrated or had enough of you or something like this. It's like, okay, go do something out there because we've been going at this for so many years and it's kind of not going anywhere, so it's kind of just like, okay, I'll give my attention now to other people and you go and make the best of what you've got, right? Now, I know that that's quite a bleak picture. I'm almost exaggerating it, but it's almost like I would be a liar if I said that those things have never crossed my mind, right? Even not as a fear, but more as a question to myself: is that what's going on? Yeah,
Sure.
because Guruji, he plays on these things. He knows what's on your mind. He knows what insecurities might arise, and so sometimes he'll feed the narrative. Sometimes he'll make a little comment or a little something. No, for sure, you've gone through that.
Yeah, for sure. That was my first comment when you asked what is the challenge. The challenge is exactly that. It's just in my personal experience, it's just after a long honeymoon of just being spoiled, basically.
Yeah.
It has become step by step taking things away. And not to sound ungrateful, because you always get so much, but it is just the nature of the mind. You don't see what you have, you only see what you lose, right? So every time he takes something away, and it might be something as trivial as not having the key anymore to the house. Like basic things like that, which before was just a normal thing that you had the key to enter, and now the door is changed, and what about my key? No, you don't get the key anymore. It's like, why? Like that's a step of like distance. Go away. Like I'm cutting you out, and it's obviously the psychology in that is it because you're annoyed of me, because you don't love me, because you don't want me around, because whatever it be, like all those things, they are there. But that's why I'm saying, once you make peace with it, to know that you're always loved and that you belong to him and that he wants only your best, and we are here to serve him, and everything he does is for you. Once that becomes something really felt and experienced, then you start to appreciate it. Because, as I said, I by myself would never do those steps of creating a physical distance. Because I want your presence, I want your closeness. But what I really want is the real closeness. And that is what he more and more gives, like the real closeness, the real connection within. And that is, from my experience, a million times more powerful and beautiful than just being in his physical proximity.
But that's a really powerful point. It's this, we all know, the three of us, everybody knows really that the true thing is inside you, in a sense, because the external circumstances can change at any moment. He always says, anyone can die at any moment. Circumstances can change at any moment. And so there is this feeling of like, well, I need to find him inside, and I need to have that strong connection. But like you said, we're not great at creating those circumstances for ourselves, right? And so it's like, yeah, maybe he has to make them for us because we're not doing it for ourselves, and we won't. End of story.
Yeah. For me, all these months, I've been just thinking as if I have two sides. I have the human one, like there is the one of proximity relationship that almost takes Guruji as a human, like it's just a friend, someone that is there that you can spend time with, that is there and makes the routine of your life. It's just, he goes for a trip and he comes back and you just welcome him. When he leaves, you say goodbye. When he has food, you eat with him. When he wants a tea, you can make it. When he's painting, you're around. And that's a very human type of relationship. It's not that much. And then spiritually, what we've been saying, is inside, the relationship is there. And in all these years traveling, I really see him. Like I have conversations inside with me. I remember his teachings. I see him around. I see all the miracles. And for me, it's going really down to this conflict of almost, I'm like, you have been part of my daily life physically for the past 9 years. And I will miss that. That's what I told him the other day.
Do you know what I feel like is the difference? Because I resonate very much with what you just said. I feel like the difference mentally has been seeing myself as his friend in seeing myself as his aspiring disciple, right? As if it's almost two separate personalities, two separate identities almost. Because as his friend, as a relationship, friend is even a weird label, but just the relationship, the personal relationship that I have with him hurts when he corrects me. It hurts when he reprimands me. It hurts when he gives that look that is meant for the disciple version of you.
A friend just doesn't do certain things like
right. But I think it's still like, it's not a fantasy of our minds. I think he has very much created that duality with all of us. Like, there is a relationship version of us, and you see very often when he is behaving to feed that side of things. But there is the disciple version of it, and you see when he's also behaving to feed that side of us. And sometimes he might have that clarity, but I don't always have that clarity, right? To separate them so neatly, to organize the behaviors and the instructions and the moments so neatly into these two. But I think there are these two categories, and I cannot pretend that they are not there. And I think, for example, one of the things is, for years, I have found myself in positions of responsibility on so many levels, be it in countries, but also here in Bhakti Marga mission, and as you all have been with me as well. And I've struggled at times because he empowers me to do that. He clearly has entrusted me to do that. We've often had conversations about these kind of things together. But it's also been one of the biggest sources of my tension with him and criticism. Like, he never criticized me prior to having these responsibilities to the same extent, nowhere near, right? And so he's like, I give you this responsibility, I empower you. And it's like, you feel it as a trust that the Guru gives to you. You're now somebody that I trust more than before. There's no implicit trust, obviously, but yeah. But simultaneously, here comes a hammer, a much more consistent and constant hammer. And it's a struggle to not resent that. Like, you almost resent the disciplehood because it's the less pleasurable of the two. Like, the relationship version I have with him is a much sweeter, nicer version. When he came back now from India, some time back, no? He before he went now to Finland and Denmark and all this, when he came back from India, he calls me for lunch. And as I'm going to his bungalow, Aditya is arriving at the same time. And he's like, did he call you too? And I said, yeah. So he called both of us for lunch. And I thought, Aditya and I looked at each other and we thought, problem. For the two of us to come, because we've both been, for example, we're both part of a team that has been requested to go to the USA for the next, times to go and help there. There's a growing need in the Americas. I mean, Akash is coming as well. Like, you're going to spend some time there as well. Like, that's another topic to unpack. But because we're both connected to this trip, we thought, okay, something about this. He's gonna, we get there, and he's in a good mood, just having lunch. And it becomes clear after about 5 minutes that he just wanted to have lunch with us, like to hang out somehow. And we do that. After lunch is finished, most of the guys leave, and he says, no, you stay. And I stayed with him for the next 3 hours, just me and him. There was nobody else there. Just chatting, like old friends somehow, and catching up. And he was laughing and making jokes, and it was a super light mood. And I was like, whoa, this hasn't happened in a while. But this was very clearly relationship, Revati and Swami Vishwananda right now. There was no mission talk. It's not disciple here. I'm giving you instructions. I'm critiquing your performance. It was just laughing, exchanging, chatting. And I left that. Then afterwards, they were sitting around puja. Everybody came, and fine. I left there thinking, like, thank you. That was a nice reminder of that sweet part. The next day, I get a phone call from him. Come to the bungalow. I go there.
You got the other part.
Well, it wasn't directly necessarily at me, but it was the collective Bhakti Marga leadership, and I was one of the people involved in that. But it was like bashing time. It was like, and why we don't do this better, and why this, like you have a emergency meeting of a board, and the chairman of the board is critiquing the business performance for the last quarter, like that kind of vibe. And you're just like, okay, wait, whoa, I need to change the hat back to disciple, servant, mission, and it's just like, yeah, there have been so many moments where there is a real tension to like accept this with a full heart, that this discipleship, this seva side of things, because it brings so much tension, difficulty, awkwardness. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very, very different relationship. I mean, I see you nodding a lot, and
Well, because I think we all experience it. It's something which we all experience. I always had this feeling that these two realities, like when I was not able to separate them, or like to, because it's a common conflict which I also had over the years. He even clearly said it, because sometimes I confronted him, like saying, how do I deal with this? Like on one side we have this relationship, and on the other side you're like the guru basically, and those don't go hand in hand. Like I said before, the guru treats you in a way a friend would never treat you, and you allow the guru to treat you in a way you would never allow a friend to treat you. Like it's just a different relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And in that moment he said, like, well, if you can't handle it, these two realities, then we just have to remove one. And it's obvious which one will be removed. Yeah. Which is obviously the relationship one, because I am your guru and you are my shishya, you are my disciple.
It's the bigger project.
And so if you can take this, if you can appreciate it, and like with pleasure, because we have also this relationship. But if you say, like, I don't want this, I can't deal with this, then we have to skip one. And then obviously you start to handle it, because you don't want to lose that part, because it's a sweet part which is a luxury to have. You just have to put it in perspective. I remember once we went to the airport. It was a tough time for myself, like big process. And I drove him to the airport, and I thought, like, wow, great, we have 1 hour, just him and me. Long time we didn't have this good time, so maybe now in the car we're gonna have a good time. It wasn't a good time. He was basically just going at this weakness which was pervading myself, and bashing on it. And I kept on whining and whining, basically saying, but I'm trying. And he's like, don't try. Stop trying. Just do it. Just change. Like
Yoda. Like,
yeah, like no take your bow and fight, Arjun.
Yeah.
And I said, like, yeah, but if you speak like that, what does it mean? Like our relationship, is it then secondary? And he looked at me. Would you say secondary? Probably even tertiary. Like, and I'm like, okay, like he's making very clear. Don't mess around.
Yeah.
Don't get lost in these relationships, because the main thing you are here for is to grow into your full potential and in this love relationship with God. That is the main thing. That's why I'm here. That's why we do whatever we do. That's why we have the relationship what we have. And if that purpose is not satisfied anymore, then yeah, that's the highest priority. Everything else is just a means to an end. And when I jump on board with you, when I see that what you want for me, for us, I also want, then we become companions, then we become colleagues. And if my ego gets hurt, instead of being hurt, I could actually say thank you and well done. Yes, because this ego needs to get erased at some point. If my desires are not satisfied because you don't satisfy them, I should be grateful, because satisfying my desires is not that what's going to bring me closer to him. So it's all of those things bring me closer to live the teachings of being detached, getting more and more away from raga and dvesha, from pleasures and aversions, and really just embracing life, embracing whatever he gives as a gift of God as a blessing to be closer to Him. And when that is more and more becoming a practice, till it becomes a habit, till it becomes a reality, then yes, you feel those moves inside, but good. Yeah, it's good.
I think a difference between, because I'm listening to you, and the difference between you guys and me is the double time, I think.
Yeah, there has been quite some
You guys
changes.
have 18 years, I have 9. And I really see the difference also in the way Guruji was probably at the beginning of the mission, or at that time, those 9 years before I was here, because I'm listening to you, I get all the points. I really get them all. I share them, but not in the same intensity, and I'm trying to figure it out why. And I think because some of us of this 9 years generation, like from, let's say, this 2016 and so, it kind of trained us more like this. Like, if you are close, it's because I decide. And if you're far, it's because I decide. And I think he made it so much more clear to us, and probably he gave us less vicinity compared to what you guys received. Yeah, and I think some of us can flow through it less intensely in a way. Not saying that we are right or you're wrong. It's just because I'm thinking right now, and somehow this is popping in my mind. I don't know if it makes sense for you, but
absolutely, like the Guruji from 2007, 8 till 2016 is like he has changed a few times, like big time.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, so I think that's a big difference. And for me, he's been telling me this consistently: stop making it personal, and it's not always about you. And I'm not saying that that's what you guys are doing. It's just that he kept telling me this for years.
We're doing.
And so when
we're doing, like that's the common sentence. The world doesn't turn around you. That's a good teaching.
Yeah, no, for sure. But what I'm saying is that he really keeps saying it. And again, not having the amount of time you had, and also that close for that long, I think it helps a lot in those situations.
I think it was an interesting decade from 2010 to 2020, because it was a decade of two halves somehow. And I mean, it's the decade I think that you and I can speak on the most, in the sense that I think we would both probably be in the top 3 of people who spend the most time with him in that decade. Yeah, like in terms of just around him physically, yeah, in one way or another, yeah. And I can absolutely agree with everything you said. There is a change. And the change, I think, is that the tip of the balance has been adjusted. So the balance between that personal relationship that is devoid of the pressures of the guru-disciple relationship versus the guru-disciple relationship, where that middle point was leaning more towards the relationship side. Mm. And I think he's just moved it gradually more to that side. It's not that this is gone. It's not that this one is, but it's the tip of the balance has shifted, And yeah, I do think some people deal better with that, some worse. Because he's also different in how intense he tips that scale for different people in different moments, and it can go from one to the next like that, And I think that I remember one time he was discussing with me for a consistent amount of time, things about the mission and responsibilities and duties and stuff. And then at one point and like a back and forth, asking for my opinions, and we were talking and talking and talking. And then one day I volunteered maybe one opinion too many. And he says to me, don't think I need your opinion. And I remember being sort of taken aback by that. Not so much about relationship stuff, but even just as this is so difficult to navigate these waters, right? Because on the one hand, you're asking and I'm giving. But I do understand that there is something inside of me that I'm not fully aware of, that I'm not fully in control of, that there's always a fine line of where you cross it, right? And him being the guru is to be the most aware of that line. And the minute I cross that line, immediately the snap happens. It's no tolerance almost, right? And then for a while he was saying, don't be like Indra, huh? this is Indra behavior and calling me Indra to, right, left and center, in a derogatory way, by the way. If anyone is an Indra worshipper, he doesn't mean it in a positive sense, right? As a sort of proud, I have responsibilities now type figure. And I remember one day, I was so fed up with this, like, because I'm just trying my best. I'm just trying, like you were saying in the car. And I said to him, but you know who gave Indra his job, right? And he looks at me like this is not the answer. Like, this is not the comment to be smart make. Now. Yeah, this is not the comment to make. But he acknowledged that, you see, in what I said, he looked at me and distinctly said, that's true. Like, he didn't deny that, yes, I have put you in this position. It's not that it's by accident you arrived at this level of scrutiny and responsibility. But then he said, the problem is the more responsibility or the more trust or the more experience in years or whatever, the expectation will rise in correspondence with it, in a sense, right? So I'm going to be more demanding, I'm going to be more tough, and I'm going to be more watchful, because as we all know, when you're at the top of the mountain and you slip, the fall is much worse than when you're near the bottom, right? And that has been something that I've had to swallow, because you can't go back. If you've been climbing and now you're at the top and you don't like the conditions at the top, you have to ask yourself, do I not like it so much that I'm willing to walk back down the mountain? Or I have to just tough it up and say, that's reality up here. The wind is stronger, it's colder, I have less breath. That's just how it is at the top of the mountain. And you can't change that. You tough it up or you don't. Like, and it's been an honor. I have to say that, because it is. But it's tough. It's very tough.
Yeah, for me, it's super funny though. I remember so many conversations when he's complaining. I remember once, especially, it was me and you and Niruddha, we were there. He was complaining about us, about the appointed Swamis, about everybody, like literally everybody. And I remember at one point, it's just us three, me and Niruddha and Guruji. And then at one point, me and Niruddha look at each other like, and we look at Guruji and I say, Guruji, just change us. Just change. Just remove us and put someone else, and we will serve whatever. We have no problem. We are sure about the other people. They will also just serve whoever you decide. No, I'm not gonna change you. Then you're like, but yeah. What's the point? You put me there and you're not happy about what I'm doing, but then you don't change me. And also the way you tell me to do it better is also not that clear. It's not just like, yes, going too much towards that way, just turn a little bit. And that's where the confusion is. And for me, I mean, I'm a big fan of confusion. So I think is...
Unpack that. You can't just say something like that. What does it mean, I'm a big fan of confusion?
I like chaos.
And why?
Because it's relaxing. I know it sounds weird, and Ian and Niruddha will always have a clash in this, but...
I like clarity, for the record.
I'm okay with unclarity. I'm actually okay with unclarity, and that's what I don't know. It's always been like this. One of the main reasons why at the beginning I was so excited about the whole Guruji thing is because it's so difficult to understand, and this always made me so happy, and I don't understand why.
But is it like a mystery that it's like an excitement to discover more about it?
Yeah, it's just chaos. I'm like, this is awesome. I don't understand it. Like, when I don't understand something, I'm happy. It's I don't know, I always had it. And so with Guruji, for me, there's a sense of fulfillment where it just makes these weird decisions and it tells you something when you're just standing there and thinking, but this, I remember,
makes no sense.
I made a sketch once. I made a sketch for one of his paintings. So I make a sketch, I bring it to him, and it was a very good sketch. That was really good. I bring it to him and he says, wow, after all of these sketches you made, you managed to put it on the wrong side of the canvas. And I'm like, sorry, I didn't notice. So I take it and I go to my room towards. And then I just think, and I take the other canvases with the other sketches. And they're all on the same side of the one that I made. And so I go to him and I said, Guruji, I think the right side is the same side of all the other ones that I did. And he's like, still, look at how bad that line is. And I'm like, Okay. So the lesson wasn't even like on which side of the canvas the sketch was. It was just like, I tell you something, I don't know, to remove, your pride or what you're feeling. And I don't know, this, in the moment, on the spot, I really need to use all these years of training of just shut up, leave your emotions aside, just remember what he's saying and then take your time because it will be helpful. And I'm very lucky having the psychotherapy part before so that you can name the emotion is much easier. Take your time, good memory, you just remember what he says, and then later on when you're more chilled, you think about it. But it's just, there's a sense of, I don't know, I don't know. It's really nice. I like it.
I'm terrible.
It's just
at that,
confusing. It's just confusing. And
I'm
just
very terrible at that.
I don't know.
The thing is, I realize it's not about understanding everything. I don't feel the need to understand everything or even understand him. I'll tell you what I do feel the need to. I need to understand where we stand. I'm often, it's not a need is a strong word, but there is a strong feeling always to like, I want to be clear on where we stand. Like if we have an issue, I want to be clear what the issue is so that I can address it. If we're good, I want to be clear that we're good, right? And it's almost like, if that's there, I don't mind if we're oceans apart. I don't mind if you're giving all your attention somewhere else, but I have the reassurance that we're on the same page, right? And what I struggle with is when I can feel we're not on the same page, but like you just described, he's almost leaving it for me to figure out. He's not seeing something that is obvious. He's not pointing out, like, the guru that sits and says, here is your fault, here's what we're going to do to fix it. It's almost like, I'm going to give you hints that there is a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you hints that we're not on the same page. And I need you, through your introspection, through your observation, through your whatever it may be, to realize at least 80% of the way what that issue is. I might complete it for you to help you out, but you need to do most of the work to get there. And that is something that is constantly on my mind, I have to say. This feeling of like, we need to be on the same page. We need to be on the same page.
And I think that is the point in that is we need to be aligned. That's my prayer, let my will be aligned with yours. And if I'm feeling that I'm not aligned, then we have a problem. Then I have a problem because that's a problem. So what do I need to do to be aligned with your will? Because I want what you want. I want to serve you. I'm not here to serve myself. I'm here to serve you, to serve whatever you want.
His higher wisdom, his higher vision.
Exactly. Yeah. And I see in all these examples, like be it the line, the wrong side of the canvas, the situations you say, I've been present in many of them. Sometimes I probably, as an external spectator, I could see something which maybe is more visible because as a third person you see sometimes more. Sometimes it's dark and I also don't understand what's going on. On a personal level, you mentioned before when it comes to a point where he says one thing, then he does another thing, and there's a kind of resentment. You come to a point of like, you made now clear we should go left. Or sometimes I had the image of like, build this house. Yeah, just as an image of a building. The house must be, this is now important, build the house. And you're very happy you get a clear instruction, because sometimes the instructions are not very clear.
Sometimes. Other times up.
So you start building, you're very excited because finally you can do your seva. And while you're building, the first wall is done, you hear somebody with a big hammer hitting down the wall you just built. You go there and it's like, what are you doing? And the person looks at you and says, good, you just told me to come here and break down the wall. To me, he said, build. To you, he said, break down. And now you get super confused because you put so much love and effort into it.
And apparently he likes it.
Yeah.
And I love it.
And in that moment, if this happens more often on a big scale where you get confused, that sometimes we had these conversations, I came to the conclusion that the basic of karma yoga is hidden into that. We kind of dismiss karma yoga as something, first few chapters of Bhagavad Gita, karma yoga is a beginning state, bhakti yoga, we are on Bhakti Marga, blah, blah, blah. But then you start to see, why do I have an issue? Because I have an expectation of the outcome. I have attachment to the outcome. Mm-hmm. So what does he want me? He wants me to get free from that attachment. He wants me to get rid of that attachment. And in that I saw, like when it came to the climax of inner frustration, because he's then good to, he teaches by action and not by words. Like you say, he doesn't tell you this is the problem, because it won't help if you don't feel it. But if you're so frustrated that you come to a point of like, I don't know anymore. And when I analyzed, I came to 3 options I had. Like I was just calculating the options I have in my life. First one was, if you're so frustrated, one option, leave. Which
always an option.
Remove, because it's not option for me. But it is an option, but it's no option for me.
Yeah. It's good to mention it also for the people watching. Is just saying,
sure.
Because people think you can actually stand up and leave. It's not going to be like,
sure, so I can climb back down the mountain.
Yeah,
like, it is what it is.
You can.
For me personally, it's not how I'm made.
Right.
Like I walk, I'm like, Second option, carry on to build the house, build it again, make that wall again, but make it with that, with this lamenting, with this attitude of like being upset with that person or with Guruji or with the situations or whatever. And honestly, it's also not an option. Because if today is my last day, I don't want to live it like that.
Miserable.
And if I have another 50 years to live, I also don't want to live them like that. So there's only the third option, which is do your service, build that wall again, do it with all love and joy you can do. Check your anger, check your expectations, check all these things, keep them in check, work on them, and just keep on serving with as much love and joy as you can without being attached to the result. And basically, that is you have the right to action. Only to action, never to its result. Therefore, don't get attached to the fruits and don't get attached to non-action. Chapter 2, verse 47. We have the basis of karma yoga. And I see, wow, after all these years, he still makes me work on those things. And that is obviously the best option, because if I can have no attachment to the fruits and still do it with full dedication and love over and over again, no matter what, then Haribol, then I'm free. Then I do service for service sake. And the outcome is in his hand, not in my hand. And that's so amazing.
It's the very next verse, 48, when he says that the definition of yoga is when one has equanimity towards success and failure. And it's like, I translate that as removing conditions. And it's very much aligned with everything you've been sharing. I think, and this is the bigger picture perspective, when I take a step back and I also try to look at my life in that perspective, and I look at what he's doing with all of us at the same time, because there's lots of value to be had in observation also. Like you said, you can see when I'm crossing a line more clearly than I do, and vice versa, and whatever, And my feeling is that, like you said, we sometimes forget about karma yoga. I think sometimes we forget that we're on a journey to unconditional love, unconditional this, unconditional that. And almost everything that we've been discussing so far have been variations of conditions, right? I require this understanding, or I want this relationship to be propped up, or I want this one to be more like this or like that. And it's eyes and wants, yes, as you pointed out, but it's conditions in their various forms. And you mentioned, Swami Akash, that he's a genius. I think he is. And the most obvious sign of that is how masterful he is at breaking what we believe to be necessary conditions that we have. I need this in order to do that. And he will create the circumstances to show you, no, you can do that without that need, without that, and you discover new things about yourself. and you become more able to do things. I'll give you one example just briefly. The other day, I was sitting with him in his house. He was sitting on the stairs, I was sitting on the floor, and I went there as a messenger of someone else. It wasn't my point. It wasn't anything that I wanted to bring to him, but I have a role sometimes as a messenger. And so I go there and I brought the point, and he starts to attack the point and you know, and at some point the lines got blurry and I was like, it feels like he's attacking me right now. And I said to him, can I just remind you, I'm just the messenger. And he's like, yeah, but if I was Ivan the Terrible, your head would already be on a spike. And I laughed. I thought, this is great. And I said to him, but you're Paramahamsa Vishwananda. So I'm not. And he's like, yeah, I know. That's why. I'm just saying it could be worse. And I said, okay. And we laughed together. It was even he laughed. We had a good moment. And then we sort of, you know, cooled things off. But there was something that he had been saying before when he was criticizing that I just thought to myself, but it's not true. Like he was saying something that was like a lie, right? About, for example, the canvas side or something like this, right? And so I said to him, now that the mood is better between us, Guruji, can I just ask something? You can say what you want. You can provoke, you can lie. Like I said this to him, I was like, but just so that I just want to check that I'm not going crazy. That is a lie. Like, you know it's a lie, right? What you said. Like, it's not actually true. And what do you mean it's a lie? I said, well, I mean, I can prove that it's a lie. Historically with documentations and whatever else. And he was just like looking at me like, stop exposing the game. Stop doing this. Like, you're constantly like going back to the safe zone. You know what I mean? Like he's taking me and putting me into this like weird chaos of no understanding of like, why is he accusing things that are not real? Why is he saying things that are not true? And like all of this. And I see my tendency to like, okay, but can we also just go back to reason? And can we go back to, it's
Facts.
not actually true, right? Facts. And he knows it. Like he makes it clear to me that yes, it is a lie. Yes, it is a game in a sense, but he always resents my desire to get out of the game in a sense. He wants me to stay in the pot getting cooked, right? He wants us to, and I realize more and more that it's not about the chaos, it's not about the confusion, it's more like, let me mold you. Like, let me do to you what I feel you need in that moment and stop fighting for what you think you need in that moment. And it's
Exactly.
often how it manifests.
Yeah,
Exactly.
this reminds me of 2016, August, crazy experience. Like really spiritual experience, where next level. You were also there. Crazy. I cried for hours. I was lost. Stars were falling. It was a madness. Guruji calls me. Where are you? I said, I'm in front of Kali crying. Come up. Go up. And he's the funniest version possible. And he's like, oh, you got scared. And he's laughing. And I said, yes. I got very scared. And he said, it's fine. You're going to forget about it very soon. And I said, yeah, but it looked so real. And he said, I'm the greatest actor. But the point is, with him, the problem is that it's not an acting, like he's faking it. Every part that he's doing is real. And that's where you start to question reality, because, yeah, what you're saying is true. But every time you say, yeah, but, because I know you, every time we speak about this, we say, but this is the truth. This is fact. I'm very lucky in that there's a part of my brain that thinks, yeah, but what is a fact? And with him, this saves me a lot of problems. But sometimes to go beyond that acting situation, because I've been, like, I guess, both of you, in some situations where he just calls you in to be a spectator of something. He just like, and then he's just teaching something to someone and you're just standing there. And while he's teaching to the person, and then maybe that person is having a problem to understand what it is, and maybe he's crying, or like he's just trying to, looking at the floor and trying, and then when he turns and he just looks at you and he smiles. But then he goes back full in that mode, like it's real. It's not a fake teaching. It's a very real teaching. And in between, he has his ability to switch between parts, and then he looks at you, but he's requiring you to be in that mode also. So then he says, what do you think, Akash? What do you think? And he's very serious, and you just want to laugh. And sometimes I need to lock my my jaw, not to laugh. But it's a serious moment for someone else. And I know that the person that is going through that learns so much from that moment. And he's just moving through all these things. And that's why I say that I love it, because I realize in those moments, I have no idea how things actually work. I don't know. I don't actually know people. I don't know myself. And many times that he told me what people thought or what people did, and for me it looked almost impossible to the extent that I defended these people. And I said, no, Guruji, no, I spoke to the person. I know the person. It's not true. So many times it ended up to be true, what Guruji was saying. And my experience was the wrong one, or like my understanding of them was wrong. And these teachings in the years really helped me a lot to just, when he says something, I just looked at him, I'm like, I don't understand how this could be true, but you've been right so many more times than me that, okay, just okay, you're right. Even though he might say something completely crazy, and then he calls you later on and he says, no, let's do the opposite. And once he told me, what is important is not that you agree with me with what I'm saying, but that you do it. And then we can talk about it. But your first reaction shouldn't be about what is wrong or what is right or what I'm saying. It should be, okay, let's do it. And then we can talk about it. Then we can figure it out. And then many times he told me, let's do this. And then we actually plan it out. We are ready almost to print everything we need. And then he says, no, but it makes no sense. And maybe it was 2 hours of programming, inviting people, calling people. And then he arrives at the end and he says, no, we don't need to do it. It makes no sense.
If I may just interject, I think it's what we were saying earlier. It's like he creates the conditions to test / prove certain points. Like we talk about Bhagavad Gita 434, how you approach a guru, submission, for example. Again, it's easy to submit when he makes sense.
Yeah.
It's easy to submit when he says the things you think also should be done, when he instructs you to do as your logic and reason commands you, compels you to do. I've said this to people all the time, like it's easy to be humble in the perfect environment. It's easy to be serving in the perfect environment. It's all of these things are easy. And I don't think he wants to create difficult lives for us by design. I don't think that's the truth. What I do think is that he needs to create it as difficult as is needed to create the real attainment of submission, the real attainment of humility, the real attainment of obedience, or whatever it may be. And sometimes we make it harder for ourselves because we have these resistances, because we have an attachment to a need that we believe we have. Then he has to actually proportionately create more problems in our life to counteract that. And I think therefore, in some sense, we're always to blame. Not always, but many times to blame for any difficulty that we experience in our own lives. And I think therefore, one of the things that I remember, maybe I'm not emphasizing as much lately, but I was emphasizing for a period of time because it hit me so strongly in my contemplations and sort of spiritual considerations, was how spirituality is absolutely synonymous with taking responsibility. Like you have to take hyper responsibility for your outcomes, your life, the way what you're experiencing, what you're going through. And it's so easy to point the finger at him as the architect of my suffering, the architect of my struggles, or even the reason why I'm not further advanced than I am. It's like because he's withholding something or whatever. But if I look at the other side of it, the much more correct side of it, and I take that responsibility, I see that, well, I'm not advancing because I'm not yet humble enough, and I'm not humble enough because every time he tries to humble me, I resist. I fight back, consciously, subconsciously, however it may be. And I think the summary of a lot of what we've been hearing from us is that it's this recognizing that Guruji is a master of creating the circumstances for real change to happen, real transformation, and not textbook spirituality, not theoretical spirituality, but like, I want to make you guys really transformative, really transcendent, all of us. How am I going to do that? By putting the conditions in front of you that challenge you the most. Yeah, now sink or swim. and I will hold your hand at the dying moment if you're really going to sink. But until then, I want to see you flap like a child in the water. Like, struggle. Show me that you want this. Don't complain. Don't moan. Don't fight back. Like,
And I see it is actually the greatest expression of love.
yeah,
It is even greater than when he's kind and loving is when he educates us, which might be hurtful, but for whom is it hurtful? It is hurtful for the ego. So often he has said, when you're offended, who is offended? The ego is offended. Well, if you want to transcend the ego, then who cares about it?
embrace it.
Embrace it. Become a partner. Become a partner of him and don't mourn, but be grateful for it. And I've seen that so many times, like especially you spoke before when we're now in the countries or like helping other people or like giving what we got. I can see sometimes when somebody has maybe the trust and I have to correct something, and I might hurt the person somewhere or like step on their feet and I see they're suffering from it. To endure that with them, because you can feel that you have that person is now struggling or hurt, and it makes me also hurt because you feel, right? Or like a mother, when the mother is rebuking a child for its good, for its own good, and the child might say, "Oh, I hate you. I will never," and all those things. But the mother keeps that tension because she knows it's good for the child. It's obviously, it would be much more easy to have a good time with the child. It's much more easy to have good times with the devotees. It's much more easy to hang out and have just the relationship and joyful time. But because of its love, because of his love, he does that work with all of us on such a big scale. Like I'm so perplexed because I can see the smallest thing where I step on somebody's feet, I immediately feel like I need to apologize and say like I didn't mean it in a bad way or whatever, like explaining it. And he's just a master in keeping that tension and doubling up on it, that you can go deeper and sustaining it for days or weeks or months even.
And doing it to thousands of people at the same time.
And doing it to thousands of people at the same time. How amazing. Like I'm
Genius.
Like I just bow to that and I hope that he never stops doing that, because it is for the greatest good of really making us free. Because once that has been done, the freedom which comes from it is unprecedented. Like it's such a great grace what the Guru gives you. That's why it is so precious to be in the presence of the living Master. And once you have tasted that, you just have to go back to that remembrance. It is always for your good. As much as you want to grow, he wants it 1,000,000 times more, and he has all the potential to do it. So just trust, let him do. Follow, take your bow, fight, do your part, and let him do his part. And just do your best to be aligned with his will. And then it's such an easy life. It's so simple, it's so beautiful, and it has the highest goal as a recompense, like as a
Reward, yeah.
reward.
And I think one of the things is, like, I was thinking as you're saying, he loves us too much to leave us as we are. I think that's the fundamental definition I have of him when I look at him sometimes in his behaviors. You just love me too much to leave me at this version of myself.
Yeah.
Because it is. It's really out of love. I cannot, as much as I may try to sometimes, label it differently. Oh, he's just mean or tough. No. He just loves me, believes in me too much to settle for what he knows is not my best version. And if you really love someone and you know they have something so incredible inside of them that they're not yet showing, they're not yet manifesting, you don't tell them, that's okay. I stay as you are, it's not a problem, and rob them of that possibility, of that experience, of that. And I see that whether he is lauded as a hero or as a villain,
doesn't matter for him.
He loves you enough to not care what he will be called or what he will be blamed for, because he will do whatever he can to make you become the best version of yourself and to really become, who you really are, and because he loves you unconditionally, without any of those, but what about my reputation here? What about our, what you think of me even? Like, all of these things are not his primary concern.
And that's what I mean, what I said in the beginning. That's the key. If I remember that, if we remember his love and how much he does everything to get us there, that everything is an answer to our prayer, then life becomes amazing. Then the life of a devotee becomes really amazing, really simple, because whenever something is complaining inside of me, don't listen to it, or don't trust it. Trust him. Don't trust yourself. Trust him. Trust the higher truth. Don't trust the lower, pitiful self. And with that mindset, it's like you just go from one to the next, and any challenge is a
right hook.
It's just an opportunity to change, and that's how he actually applies the teachings. Yeah, I have a notebook from December 2016 when I was traveling with him the first time. There are a lot of Tamil words here and there of how to say things, and then like this is what he wants for breakfast. It is about like service, and then there's a big thing written. There's written, remember always that whatever he does and says, he does it because he loves you. It's gigantic, and I framed it, and I really printed it in my mind. Sometimes it's difficult, but if you keep remembering that, that he's just giving you hints more, and honestly, he's the greatest tool you can have. The greatest tool. How many people in the world have someone who knows fully their potential and just keeps consistently having the same agenda? I will make you the best version of who you are. Like, how many people have that luck?
It doesn't exist in the world.
It's a grace, and that's where you realize, wow, what I realize more, and what I try not to go into is, I don't want to waste it. But I know I waste it. I know the moments, I know my thoughts, I know the moments of my day, I know what I could do more, and I know that I waste many possibilities that he gives. But at the same time, you cannot only look at the bad one and you're like, okay, but I try to take as many as I can. And if you do, I think with him, it's just, you keep growing, you keep going, because he's always there, he's always ready. He's always ready. If you always want to change, he's always there. He has no breaks. We know him. He never
Sadly.
Actually stops.
No breaks.
He never stops.
But it's like, I think it's not even, it's good that we are aware that we waste time, because it feels like the more I use the time, the more I notice how much time I waste. And like this, you start to actually use the time more and more efficiently. And it's just a step-by-step growing into this. And the beauty of it, like when you said those things that you just said now, what you wrote down, sometimes when I hear this, it sounds like such a cliche.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
It sounds such a cliche. And then I was thinking, but the beauty is that with 17 years now in his proximity, it has become a living experience. Like, he has never left me. He has never let go of my hand. Like, he has proven it over and over again. When I hear it, when people say it, sometimes I'm like, kind of, it's too much cliche, it's too dry, it's too much of a floskel to say. But it's the truth. It's the truth. And to live it, to experience it, that is like, it's so great. I'm so grateful for it. And yeah.
But what I appreciate though is that, like, when you said that, right? Everything he does is because he loves me, right? Yes, it's a cliche. I had a similar thought. Another thought I had was also like, That's a very cultish sort of statement, right? It's like it's this blanket excuse that for whatever he does, it's for my good, guys. It's for my love, right? But what I really appreciate about, for example, this kind of conversation is that we're not saying it's a bed of roses. I think it's a question of we're saying, look, but we have questioned that, and we have doubted that, and we have resisted that, and we have had other opinions on that, and we've only changed it not because someone told us, no, I assure you it's because of that, believe in it. No, because we have seen it, we have experienced it, lived it, gone through it, come out the other side, done it again and again and again, and another 10 times, another 20 times, and then gone and spoken to our brother, and he says, oh, I've gone to 25 times, and then the other one, and it's like you create a mountain of realizations, of experiences, of evidences, of perspectives that lead you to the conclusion, everything he does for me is out of love for me.
Yeah.
And that second time you write that sentence, after 20 of these trials and tribulations, means 100% more than the first time you wrote that sentence on your first day and you listened it to a lecture and you wrote, everything he does for me is out of love. It means so little at that moment. You don't know what that means. You don't know what that looks like. And then you go through what the three of us and so many others have gone through and you go, okay, I say it again. I imprint that again in my mind and in my heart, and I know what this means now.
Yeah, and if something is good or bad, you see on the result. And
that's
I
the
wouldn't
result
want
that
to
matters.
change 1 second. Like, yes, it's not a bed of flowers, but nobody has said that it's going to be easy. It's just said that it's worthwhile and it's possible. And I can just see that the way His grace, His presence has transformed my life and all your lives. Like, I know you for all those years and so many others. I'm just like, that is mind-blowing. If you allow it, if you embark and you are sincere about it, it is absolutely mind-blowing. And the life experience, I can just speak for myself, of freedom, of fulfillment, of living all those principles which I have known for so many years and read over and over again, has exponentially grown and keeps on just growing. And I never want it to stop. So I'm just praying, keep on doing what you have to do. Like, please, never stop.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to say is, so I think we've really beautifully characterized the relationship with Guruji in these moments, like how to understand this transitions and the work he does with us, this whole disciple and relationship type of dichotomy and whatever. I think that's all clear. There are two questions that I think the three of us to speak on a little bit. Right now, we're at the cusp of a new episode, a new move. The two of us, Swami Akash, will be going to America at least for the next 2 years to help them in their needs and their growth. There's been a lot of demand coming from there, a lot of necessity, and Guruji has seen that and is sending us there to help meet that need. You have been instructed by Guruji also to divide your time between Italy and other projects outside of SPN. And I want to ask two questions. I think the first is, what do you see as being your primary role? What is what you think you should be doing in this? Like, what are we going to do? Like, what is the thing that you focus on? And secondly, what is the thing that you are wary of, in the sense of like vigilant of not doing, in this? Because the reason I ask this is because we are three people, but there are others. There are others that have come before us, that will come after us, that will be tasked with doing similar things, that will go places and try to represent their guru and try to bring some benefit. And so I want us to sort of discuss what we identify as being our real function, our real role that we have to honor and play, and what to maybe avoid and the things to look out for in this kind of function. Yeah, when we're, it's not hopping over to Italy or Portugal, which is a quick flight away from Germany. We're going across an ocean. It's far away. And a lot of the people there, for example, have never met Guruji, or they met him once. Yeah, it is a different thing. And I've experienced that myself. Like when I go to Portugal, what an incredible Sangha it is. When we go to Italy, what an incredible Sangha it is. But there are people that have had often years of contact with Guruji, or they have an ease of access to Guruji, relatively speaking, right? And when I speak to Swami Tulsidas, for example, who's in America, one of the things he often reminds me and tells me is like, don't forget, a lot of the people here, they have a great affection for Guruji. They have a great longing but they've maybe had one interaction with him in their life. They don't know the things we're talking about as much as, you know, we sometimes assume. And so, yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. So what do you think is the primary role that we have as Swamis to serve in this capacity, and what are the things to maybe be aware of? What do you think?
Well, I think it depends, obviously, like from which project you speak. Like I think you speak now mostly of the US, because
As an example,
because it really on a mundane level, it depends which role I have. Like in Italy, I have a certain role. If I go to the ashram, I know what my role is and where I support there. So there's a certain clarity.
But with the US, like the conversation you had with Guruji recently, for example.
Yes, with the US, I think what I'm always wary about, or what I always watch out, is, like I said before, to be aligned with his will, like to go deep within and like, not my will be done, but your will be done. And that needs that quiet space, needs that inner connection. So the sadhana, the spiritual work is the most important.
Mm-hmm. To hold on to that.
To hold on to that, and then just be available as a servant. Like now you guys go before me there, and to listen to whatever the wisdom of the people there is to give. Like you said, Swami Tulsidas said, what comes to me there immediately is the awareness of the patience with people, also the patience with minds and things, because I see it even in European sanghas or whatever. It's not that you tell once the truth or tell once a principle and people understand it and then say like, oh yes, and it's done with it.
I'm in. I accept everything you said.
That's it.
I might even accept it, but I have accepted those principles. Doesn't mean that I have been not an idiot and fallen again and again for my shortcomings and my limitations. And how much patience has Guruji shown us and keeps on showing us, because I think we are still idiots. Sorry, like in
some ways, absolutely.
Yeah, the ignorance is unlimited. Like till we haven't reached that point, there is always something more to remove, and to have that patience also to see where somebody stands and trying the best to empathize with it and pick them up. Like Guruji shows, no, he connects with everybody at their level, and then step by step helps them to rise. To do a little bit of that, if possible. Mm-hmm. Like that is something which is definitely in my vision of how service should be done, especially also in a place where people don't know Guruji, etc.
Right.
To put everything in perspective for myself, because you're surrounded constantly by him, by devotees, in this world, everything becomes so normal. The most normal thing for us, for some people, is an absolute like mind-blowing new concept or practice or whatever. Like,
no, I think it's an awesome advice. So if I can summarize it, because I want everyone to really sort of get as much clarity and richness from this. You're almost saying, like, as an individual, to make sure alignment with Guruji. That's a number one, like, sort of concern or care, attention to give to that, and hold on to sadhana. Yeah, and then as a service, patience. I think patience was that key word there, like to really have that patience and understanding for, the circumstances of the person, and not assume things, and really have that space for the people. Yeah, That would be your advice then. Awesome. Samyakash?
Alignment for sure. The other day when we were talking to him, he was doing this with his hands.
Yeah.
Saying that some people are not aligned. And he was saying, some people are, and he was doing this. And then he said, they're not aligned with what I want, with how I think. So for sure, alignment. And the sadhana is a very good point, and I wanted just to say it for everyone. I heard a couple of times that people think that if you're close to Guruji, you don't need to do sadhana. That was a very weird point. And I said, well, you guys don't do japa, right? You don't do abhishekam. I'm just like, You're just with him. And I was like, I think that the people that you see around Guruji are the one who need it the most. Also, of course, we do it. We do Kriya every day. We do Abhishekams every day. We do all these things, and they're super important. And in my experience, from what I've seen, also the people that are more stable are the ones who keep their sadhana, their routine. We had this conversation many times, and me and Jiva mainly, Rishananta Jitaras, we speak about this because we really seen even people from the old time, all of you, the ones who really stay and they can get through all the things are the ones who actually keep it consistent. You develop that relationship really inside. So I really want to bring that with me to show how much what Guruji gave us as techniques, and even without the proximity, being on the other side of the ocean, you can really get closer to him and to God. So that's something that I really wanna bring across a lot. Of course, all the experiences, and something Guruji told me that was get out of the way. In the sense of he has a little bit like Krishna in the Gita, like he knows he wants Arjuna to fight. He knows that has to happen, but also at the same time, Arjuna is just a piece of the puzzle. I think if Arjuna at one point he decides not to fight, they will end up with the same result. And so I want to get out of the way as much as I can and just facilitate that flow of what has to happen. I actually have no idea what will happen in America. I have no idea the development of Italy, of Sicily, of Portugal. I don't actually understand any of these things because it's impossible to know what will happen. And so I try to tell my mind to stop trying to see that clearly, because somehow my mind is trying to be like, how is it going to be? What is it? How? And to just stay so much more open to possibilities, and rather being conscious and aware in those moments to be able to grab them. I've seen this in Sicily so much. Consciously, not much was needed in terms of planning, but more the willingness of, let's be ready to take any opportunity. As any light, just be as awake as you can to see them, whether it's 3 people or whether it's going to be an event with 100, just try and go, because you have no idea how that grace is going to flow. And so just go for it. Just go. So yeah, that I would like to.
Beautiful. Again, I think, if you allow me to summarize a little bit, stay consistent, I think is one thing there. Get out of the way, in the sense of, like, as you said, everyone is to some extent irreplaceable. Yeah, like it's not that we can't overestimate ourselves in some sense. And then the other one was stay open to the possibilities, right? To really latch on to whatever opportunities come, and to really not have a predefined vision of how things have to be. I think that's something that you're sharing.
Been proven too many times that I actually don't know how things should be. I don't know how they end up being. I don't know so much. So just be as aware as you can.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I like this, actually. This is listening to you both. I'm thinking, that's the whole value of giving advices on these things, because we get a richer perspective. For me, if I just add also my perspective, the thing I'm wary of, concerned of in a sense, is excitement. Yesterday, somebody asked me, "Are you excited to go to America?" And I said, "No, I'm trying not to be. I am optimistic, but I'm not excited." I think excitement is an enemy in these moments. You know what I mean? Like it's takes me away from that equanimous position. It's the highs and the lows, and like big excitement, expectations, disappointment, all these things that come. And so when it comes to be it Portugal, be it any of these places, sometimes people have asked me even like Swami, passion, more excitement, and I'm like, no, don't get me wrong. I'm positive. I'm optimistic about this, but excitement is not a friend in these moments to me. I've often felt like it creates more problems than it does solutions. So I really have to qualify that. Like I mean, not excitement, but yes, optimism. Not like excitement and indifference. I'm not, necessarily saying that. And in terms of what I think my role is, or what I would like to do, what I would like to focus on, and what I would like to advise others to do as well, or be mindful of, is your character, because it has always been true that you judge a tree by its fruits. And as I'm going there in service to him, that is the real reason that we all go anywhere, whether I am in Portugal or America or Brazil or anywhere. I am going there to act as a bridge to him, to glorify and to spread and to give what I have received from him. I believe whatever skills I have or whatever instructions I have are immediately 10 times weaker if they're not presented by a version of myself that is mindful of the character that I am presenting, of the personality that I'm showing, the quality of person that I am trying to show. And it's not that you fake. I'm not saying like, no, so be mindful and put on a show. It's that when you realize how important that is, you're so much more watchful that you don't allow the worst part of yourselves to manifest as easily. They may still, because we're flawed, right? It's not a guarantee. But when you relax too much about that, when you don't see the importance of that, you start to see those little dirty parts of your psyche more easily coming to the surface, more easily showing themselves. And I've seen historically how much that negatively impacts people. We're so influenced by others, right? And it's not just about who's the senior person and who's the less senior person. Like, we all somehow watch each other, consciously, subconsciously, learn from each other, take on things from each other. And that's one thing I would always advise people. It's like, please be super mindful that you are, whether you've asked for it or not, often going to be the standard by which people will judge Guruji. And that's something that is not a trivial responsibility to take. Yeah. Gentlemen, this was a really nice conversation.
Can I make the last
Please
point?
Please
Sorry.
do.
I agreed with non-excitement. I was at the table with you.
I was just thinking, like,
we
you
were,
got an excited one here.
No. Savage. I think as if he is a chilled person also. Like, I like how he puts me as I'm the... Okay. I thought about it, about the excitement, because I was there when he asked, and I agree with you. Guruji taught us that it's dangerous to be excited. Like, if I remember we were in India, the nice ashram, and Guruji said, "Do you like the place?" And I said, "It's super nice," because it was really nice. I said, "It's super nice," and he says, "You like it so much? You want to stay here?" And I'm like, no, it's disgusting. I don't. It's the worst ashram I've ever seen. So it's just, it keeps training you in that sense. And I realized then with the time, and then when I went to sleep last night, I thought about that thing. And I am excited about something though. I'm excited to serve. That, yes. That's something that he really did very good with many of us, and I really see it. I am excited to serve. Whatever and in whichever way will be, and whatever will be the result. I try to be as far away from that expectation as I can. But I am excited to go there and to serve, yes, in whatever way. Whether it's going to be talking or singing or going around or being in the same place, I am, or meeting people. I'm really excited to serve and happy about the unknown. Like, around Guruji is going to be...
But I think that's why your excitement works, because it's an excitement married to the unknown, right? Like, the question that was asked to me yesterday as you were there was, are you excited about America? That was the question. Yeah. And so I said no, because I don't think I can be excited about America, because I know what that meant in the mind of the person, in a sense, right? It's like the opportunities that America is going to bring and the people there and whatever. But what you're saying is more from my side, is I'm excited to serve in whatever way that happens, in whatever situation that arises, that I can get more on board with. That I can get more on board with. Yeah.
About life itself. Like,
we have to have joy in life, enthusiastic for life.
If we are here, if we are there, it doesn't matter.
There are so many...
It's different.
It's inconceivable. Like, I've traveled with both of you so many times. We have no idea what is going to happen. Like... Yeah. And thinking to be on the other side of the ocean, what really makes me more relaxed inside is that I know there's going to be so many ways that Guruji is going to show himself. I'm going to see so much, because I see it already traveling. In a way, and I know people don't believe this when we say it, but I don't know if you guys say it, but when I say it, I really sometimes feel so much closer to him when I'm 2 weeks away traveling.
Yeah.
Then being in the same room, sitting at this distance with him for 2 hours, just me and him.
Well, one thing I didn't say is true is that the moments people ask themselves, so when do you feel the most connected to Guruji? I said, actually, when I'm doing the exact services that he has appointed me to. Like if I'm initiating someone, for example, or I'm giving a lecture that I know he has asked me or empowered me to do, like there's something in those moments that is very different. It's not like this interaction kind of thing, but he's here with me, and you feel it more tangibly.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes in sadhana you feel that also, but like there's these moments where he's just there, and you feel like we're in this together. You know what I mean?
I feel his presence is there when we are not. Like when I'm not there, he is there. But when it's about me and I want to be in your presence and I want to be in your physical proximity and I want to get something, Kabir, I think, said.
Kabir. When Shriyar is here, I'm not there. When I'm there.
And it is really like that. If I forget about myself and just serve, then he's much more there. The more we serve selflessly, the more he will be present, the more he is there. The more we are egocentric and focused on ourselves, the less he will be there. The less space is for him. And I think we all experience that in different ways of serving him. And I think every devotee, every follower, everybody can experience that. The less you are there, the more he is there. The more you are there, the less he is there.
100%. And I tell you one thing, having heard that now, like one of the things that I'm actually looking forward to is the devotees there, the people, because it's something that routinely, positively surprises me. Like every time I go back to Portugal, I have, Bhakti Dasi, one of the ashram managers, come to me and say, "Oh, I need to tell you a story about someone who showed up recently and is doing incredible seva out of nowhere, like a new person, a follower who's just inspiring all of us." And she tells me some inspirational story, and you just go, where does Guruji find these people? Like, where these people just come out of nowhere and suddenly, like, with such selflessness or with such, like
love and heart.
Yeah, and it's such a fuel. Like you hear that and you go, like immediately you're filled with like life energy to be just like, I'm gonna give more for this place. I'm gonna give more for this community, these people, because look how much they're giving. And it's a reciprocity, like that you really want to exchange and serve and like it's that's something that I do look forward to, because it's always incredible the people you meet and the people that Guruji attracts, like the souls that he brings. I mean, that's it. I mean, even someone like you, actually, now that you mentioned about the double years thing, like we've been here from almost the very beginning of SBN. And so the churn of residents that we have seen throughout the last, 18 years, you think back and you think of some really like key persons now, such as yourself, but you think back to the moment they arrive. You think fresh-faced Akash, fresh-faced this one, fresh-faced that one, and you see like what they brought with them at that moment, whether it was this enthusiasm, whether it was this immediate dedication, whether it was this, that, and the other, and you just go like, actually, that did inspire me and impact me more than I noticed, maybe even at the time, and this is cool. This is something I think I'm looking forward to.
And in that, what I see is the openness, the not judgment, because in that different flows of people coming and going, there was so many where I thought like, but they have shown the complete opposite. They have shown that they are not incapable, or what I have seen was wrong. What Guruji has seen in them was truth. And to not judge the book by the cover.
Mm-hmm.
That is something where it's like, you never know what is deep inside of somebody. He knows, and give everybody the chance to express it.
Awesome. Well, really, I appreciate this conversation, guys.
Nice.
I wish all three of us the best of luck, and that we're in this together, and that we continue to serve him in the best way, aligned. Yeah. And inspiring people everywhere we go in his name. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Jai Gurudev.
Jai Gurudev.